My husband secretly had another family. For 12 years, I believed I had a happy marriage. My husband, Daniel, was the kind of man everyone trusted. He remembered birthdays, helped elderly neighbors carry groceries, and never left the house without kissing me goodbye. We had a beautiful home, 2 children, and what I thought was a strong relationship built on honesty. Looking back, I realized the signs had always been there. I simply loved him too much to see them. Daniel worked as a regional sales manager for a medical equipment company. His job required him to travel several times a month. Sometimes he was gone for 2 or 3 days, and occasionally, an entire week. I never questioned it because his company had offices across the country. He always returned with small gifts for our children and stories about difficult clients, delayed flights, and exhausting meetings. Whenever I asked about joining him on one of his trips, he gently discouraged me. "You'd be bored," he would say. "I'll be working all day, and you'll be sitting alone in a hotel room." It sounded reasonable, so I stopped asking. Everything changed on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Daniel had supposedly flown to another city that morning for an important conference. I was cleaning his home office when I noticed an old phone hidden behind a stack of files in the bottom drawer of his desk. At first, I assumed it was one of his previous phones. I almost put it back, but the screen lit up with a notification. "Can't wait to see you tonight. The children have missed you." My heart stopped. The message was from someone saved as M. I stared at the screen, trying to understand what I was seeing. Perhaps it was a coworker. Maybe she was talking about a business dinner. Maybe the children were her nieces or nephews. Then another message appeared. "Lily made your favorite cake. She keeps asking when Daddy will be home." Daddy. My hands began to shake so badly that I nearly dropped the phone. I sat on the floor, struggling to breathe. Daniel had told me he was flying to a conference. But someone was expecting him home. Someone had children who called him Daddy. The phone was locked, but Daniel used the same 4-digit code for almost everything, our wedding anniversary. The screen opened immediately. There were hundreds of messages. The woman's name was Melissa. From their conversations, it was clear that she believed Daniel was her husband. They discussed school fees, household repairs, doctor appointments, birthdays, and family vacations. She sent photographs of 2 children, a girl named Lily and a boy named Ethan. There were pictures of Daniel holding them when they were babies. Pictures of him sitting beside Melissa at Christmas. Pictures of the 4 of them smiling on a beach. In one photograph, Daniel was wearing a wedding ring. Not the ring I had given him, but another one. I felt as though my entire life had split open. Daniel had not simply been having an affair. He had built another family. I spent hours reading their messages, even though every new sentence hurt more than the last. According to Melissa, she and Daniel had been together for almost 9 years. They had 2 children, aged 7 and 5. Daniel spent several days with them every month, the same days he claimed to be away on business. He had celebrated anniversaries with her. He had attended Lily's school performances. He had taken Ethan to soccer practice. He had even helped Melissa choose the house they lived in. Meanwhile, I had defended him whenever friends joked that traveling husbands were difficult to trust. Daniel would never betray me, I had said proudly. I felt humiliated, furious, and completely broken. But beneath the anger was another painful realization: Melissa might not know about me either. I considered calling Daniel immediately, but I knew he would lie. He had spent years creating explanations, schedules, and fake business trips. If I confronted him without proof, he might delete everything and convince me that I had misunderstood. So I photographed every message, every family picture, and every financial discussion. I found Melissa's address in one of their conversations. She lived less than 2 hours away. The next morning, I told my sister that I needed her to watch my children. Then I drove to Melissa's house. The entire journey felt unreal. I kept hoping I had made some terrible mistake. Perhaps Daniel had a secret brother who looked exactly like him. Perhaps the photographs were fake. My mind invented impossible explanations because the truth was too painful to accept. When I arrived, I saw a bicycle in the driveway and children's drawings taped inside the front window. A family photograph sat on the windowsill. Daniel was in it. I walked to the door and knocked. A woman in her mid-30s answered. She looked friendly but tired, with her hair pulled into a loose ponytail. "Can I help you?" she asked. "Are you Melissa?" "Yes. My name is Rachel. I need to speak with you about Daniel." Her expression changed immediately. "Is he all right?" "He's at a conference." That sentence confirmed everything. Daniel had told both of us the same lie. I held up my phone and showed her a photograph of Daniel with me and our children. "I'm his wife," I said. Melissa stared at the screen. At first, she looked confused. Then all the color disappeared from her face. "No," she whispered. "That isn't possible. I'm his wife." She opened the door wider and invited me inside. Neither of us knew what else to do. We sat at her kitchen table, two strangers connected by the same man's lies. Melissa showed me photographs from their private wedding ceremony. She explained that Daniel had claimed he was divorced and that he avoided legal paperwork because of financial complications with his former marriage. He had told her that his parents were dead, which explained why she had never met them. In reality, Daniel's parents lived 30 minutes from our home and visited us regularly. I told Melissa about my marriage, our children, and the business trips that had never existed. She began crying when she realized that every holiday Daniel missed with her had been spent with us. Then we compared calendars. On my daughter's 10th birthday, Daniel had left early because of an emergency client meeting. He had actually attended Ethan's preschool graduation. On Melissa's birthday, he had told her he was visiting his sick mother. He had been on vacation with me. The lies were carefully balanced. Whenever one family received his attention, the other received an excuse. Melissa and I sat together for nearly 3 hours. There was no anger between us. We both understood that neither of us was the enemy. We were victims of the same deception. Finally, we decided to confront him together. That evening, Melissa texted Daniel and asked him to come home early. I waited in the living room while she put the children to bed. My heart pounded when I heard his car pull into the driveway. Daniel entered carrying flowers. "Melissa, I managed to." He stopped when he saw me. For several seconds, nobody spoke. His face revealed everything: fear, guilt, and the desperate calculation of a man searching for another lie. "Rachel," he finally said. "What are you doing here?" "I think the better question is, what have you been doing here for 9 years?" He placed the flowers on the table. "I can explain." Melissa laughed bitterly. "Then explain. Tell us which one of us is your wife." Daniel sat down and covered his face with his hands. He admitted that he had met Melissa during a work trip. What began as an affair became serious when she got pregnant. Instead of telling the truth, he created a second life. He claimed he loved both families. "You don't do this to people you love," I said. He insisted that he had planned to confess many times but was terrified of losing his children. His explanation only made me angrier. He had used love as an excuse for manipulation. He had taken away our ability to make informed choices about our own lives. Melissa removed her wedding ring and placed it on the table. "Get out," she said. Daniel looked at me, perhaps expecting sympathy or another chance. "You heard her," I replied. The following months were painful and complicated. I filed for divorce. Melissa discovered that her marriage to Daniel had never been legally registered, meaning she had fewer protections than she believed. However, with the evidence we had collected, she pursued financial support for her children. Daniel's reputation collapsed when the truth reached our families, friends, and his workplace. His parents were devastated. My children struggled to understand why their father had another family. Melissa's children were equally confused. We arranged for all 4 children to meet with counselors. Eventually, Melissa and I allowed them to meet one another. They were half-siblings, after all, and none of them were responsible for what Daniel had done. Strangely, Melissa became one of my closest friends. Our friendship was not based solely on betrayal. We supported each other through court hearings, difficult conversations, and the process of rebuilding our lives. People sometimes ask how I failed to notice my husband had another family. For a long time, I blamed myself. I replayed every business trip, every unexplained expense, and every moment when something felt wrong. But I finally understood that trusting your spouse is not foolish. The person who abuses that trust is the one who should carry the shame. Daniel did not destroy my ability to love. He taught me that love without honesty is only an illusion. I lost the marriage I thought I had, but I gained the truth. And although the truth shattered my old life, it gave me the chance to build a new one, this time without secrets, excuses, or lies.